Chapter 901, Go ahead. They had all been wondering how Zhang Shi would make use of his 3 sentences. If he wanted to display his capability, be it pill forging, the way of medicine, smithing, or demonic tunes, he would surely have been able to capture everyone's attention easily and win the respect. If he were to talk about his contributions, retrieving Elder Wu Yangzi's corpse and contributing his forging technique without asking for any compensation, saving the Hongguan royal family's bodies and taming all of the spirit beasts and sand beasts of the Cloud Mist Ridge, all of these were incredible feats that wouldn't pale in comparison to the previous generations of principles. Even if it was in the field of imparting knowledge, while his direct disciples might not possess high cultivation realms, their understanding of cultivation and battle techniques far surpassed most 6-star master teachers, such that even the head of the martial school had personally invited them to become the guest elders of the academy. Regardless of which one it was, he would surely be able to attract the attention of all of the predecessors in an instant, yet, instead of speaking about any of that, he had actually asked to pummel the predecessors instead. Big brother, we are master teachers, not hoodlums. The master teachers beneath the stage were all dumbstruck. Countless elders had pulled out the beards unwittingly, causing blood to flow down the lower jaws, but it seemed as if they hadn't noticed it at all. They had seen those who had boasted about the capabilities and accomplishments to win the admiration of others, they had also seen those who resorted all means in order to obtain power, but never had they seen anyone who threatened to lay his hands on his predecessors after inviting them over. More importantly, he had even said it out loud, seemingly without the slightest shred of remorse at all. Zhang Shi, aren't you afraid of the predecessors killing you on the spot for your insolence? Even if you don't wish to be recognized and become the principal, you need not bring such trouble upon yourself, right? On the other hand, Zhao Bingzu nearly fell off the stage after hearing Zhang Zuan's words. School head Mo and the others also nearly had the lower jaws falling to the ground. The faces flushed incredibly red, seemingly ready to blow at any moment. You want to pummel us? While the crowd was feeling lightheaded from this abrupt turn of events, the wills of the preceding predecessors on the stage stared at one another in frenzy, unable to believe what they had just heard as well. As preceding principals of the Master Teacher Academy, they had undergone this formality themselves, and they had assessed many juniors after them too. They had seen those who racked the brains to formulate the perfect 3 sentences to present to them, but never had they seen one who threatened to pummel them on this formal occasion. You must be on the verge of going insane. As the faces of all of the preceding principals darkened, Founder Mu Kai frowned and advised, you only have 3 sentences, consider what you wish to say carefully. I have already considered it thoroughly, just allow me to pummel all of you once. Zhang Xuan replied affirmatively. After which, his figure blurred, and in the next instant, he was already standing before Founder Mu Kai with his palm raised ready to assault the latter. Hong Long. The palm strike was so powerful that it caused a deafening sonic boom to reverberate in the air. With just one glance, Founder Mu Kai could instantaneously tell that the young man before him possessed exceptional strength. Even a half-cent could be easily killed by the palm strike. Zhang Shi really made a move. What is he up to? Doomed, he is really doomed now. To make a move on the founder of the academy is a grossly disrespectful act, he will never be able to earn the recognition anymore. The master teachers beneath the stage clutched the hair in frenzy. Zhao Bingzu, school head Mo, and the others could feel the hearts in the mouths, and they felt as if they were going to faint at any moment soon. To make a move on one's predecessor, that was no longer a problem as simple as whether he was willing to become the principal or not anymore. Once this matter reached the ears of the Master Teacher Pavilion, he could be severely punished for his disrespectful actions. In the worst case scenario, he might even be scorned by all, making it impossible for him to remain a master teacher. Audacious. How brazen. You are seeking death. Seeing Zhang Xuan make a move on Founder Mu Kai, the other preceding principals immediately bellowed furiously. Founder Mu Kai's face also twitched at Zhang Zuan's abrupt assault, and he quickly dodged his attack with a side step before raising his palm to retaliate with a strike of his own. In response, Zhang Xuan swiftly turned around and retreated. Founder Mu Kai was planning to retaliate, but in that moment, he abruptly sensed something that left his eyes narrowed and his body trembling. Who, seeing that the other party had finally understood it, Zhang Xuan smiled and came to a halt. However, his halt didn't stop the preceding principals from charging at him furiously. Powerful surges of energy, reminiscent of steel, were heading swiftly for him to bound him tightly. Zhang Xuan's disrespect toward the founder of the Master Teacher Academy had incurred their ire, and their anger would never be appeased until they taught the new principal a harsh lesson. Stop. But just as the steel-like surges of energy were about to bind Zhang Xuan tightly together, a loud bellow abruptly sounded, "Founder Mu Kai." All of the preceding principals hesitated for a moment before withdrawing the strength and returning back to the positions reluctantly. Nevertheless, the hostile gazes were still fixated upon Zhang Xuan. Mu Shi, this new principal has no respect for his seniors and the rules of the Master Teacher Pavilion at all. To dare make a move against you, that clearly shows that there is a problem with his character. Please, allow us to deal with him. We, master teachers, have always valued etiquette, and if we don't deal with him, how are we to maintain discipline among our ranks? The preceding principals all exclaimed furiously. In the years as principals, they had never seen a person as brazen as that. Audacious. Hearing the furious exclamations from the crowd, Founder Mu Kai's face turned livid, and he raged, "We are only a sliver of will left behind by our former selves, and yet you still wish to teach the incumbent principal a lesson. Don't you think that is overstepping your bounds?" Hearing Mu Shi, the one who respected etiquette strictly the most among them, saying such words, everyone was dumbstruck. They couldn't help but stare at him in confusion. "I didn't see you hesitating in the slightest when you made a move on him earlier. It's just that the other party managed to dodge your attack, so your strike failed to land on him. We are just doing the same as you. Why are our actions considered overstepping our bounds? What should we do then?" One of the preceding principals asked. "What else do you plan to do?" Founder Mu Kai glared at the preceding principal who had asked the question and raised his hands majestically. "Remain rooted on the spot and allow him to pummel you." Putung, putung, putung. The knees of the master teachers beneath the stage caved in, and they all fell to the ground. "Remain rooted on the spot and allow Zhang Shi to pummel them." What the heck was with that? Was that some kind of bad joke from the founder of the Master Teacher Academy? The wills of the preceding principals exchanged horrified glances with one another. This was especially so for the second and third narration principals. Not only had they lived in the same era as Founder Mu Kai, they were even his student and grandstudent respectively. As such, they had a deep understanding of Founder Mu Kai's personality. Upright and austere, he was a person who viewed etiquette with great importance. Yet, for him to show no signs of anger in face of the rudeness of the new principal, and even command them to remain still before the latter's beating, such a response was inconceivable. "Enough, hurry up and do as I say. Our time out here is limited, so stop wasting it." Paying no heed to the shock of the others, Founder Mu Kai waved his hands impatiently. Yes. In face of Founder Mu Kai's displeasure, the preceding principals could only grit the teeth and step forward reluctantly. With a look reminiscent of soldiers marching to the deaths, they glared at Zhang Xuan and said in resignation, "Come, do your worst." "Pardon me." Nodding, Zhang Xuan stepped forward and shrouded all of the preceding principals with his zhenqi in an instant. The zhenqi only remained for a brief instant before dissipating. After which Zhang Xuan returned back to the edge of the stage and stood quietly, as if nothing had happened at all. On the other hand, the faces of the preceding principals paled as realization struck them. They turned the sights to the young principal once more, this time with the gazes filled with respect. With a soft chuckle, Founder Mu Kai said, "All right, it's about time. Let's begin. I, the first-generation principal of the Master Teacher Academy, declare my recognition for Zhang Shi as the next principal. With him, the Master Teacher Academy will definitely be brought to unprecedented heights. I, the second-generation principal of the Master Teacher Academy, declare my recognition for Zhang Shi as the next principal. I, the third-generation principal of the Master Teacher Academy, declare my recognition for Zhang Shi as the next principal. I, the fourth generation principal of the Master Teacher Academy, declare my recognition for Zhang Shi as the next principal. I, the 102nd generation principal of the Master Teacher Academy, declare my recognition for Zhang Shi as the next principal. One by one, the principal of each generation stepped forward and declared their own support for Zhang Xuan as the next principal of the Master Teacher Academy with a resounding voice. Am I seeing things? The preceding principals actually expressed the support for Zhang Shi. I have no idea what is going on. Didn't Zhang Shi just show blatant disrespect for the founder of the Master Teacher Academy? Under such circumstances, shouldn't all of the preceding principals object to his inauguration? How did the situation suddenly turn to this? I have no idea either. In any case, Zhang Shi isn't a person who can be defined by common sense. Somehow even the impossible becomes possible when he is involved. The master teachers beneath the stage were shocked beyond words. Of the 100 principals in history, the only one to have received the highest authority was the founder, Mu Kai. Yet despite crossing the wills of all of the preceding principals, that fellow had actually been recognized by each and every one of them and received the supreme jurisdiction over the academy without the slightest doubt. Could it be that the wills of these preceding principals were actually masochists who preferred to be beaten up than to listen to words? Since we are done expressing our recognition for Zhang Shi, it's about time for us to leave. Seeing that everything was done, founder Mu Kai nodded before he turned to Zhang Xuan once more and said, I hope that you will never forget your roots as the principal of the Hongguan Master Teacher Academy, no matter how high you reach in the future. After which, he clasped his fist and said, farewell. With those words, the figures of the preceding principals swiftly blurred before disappearing altogether. Most likely, they had been teleported away by the formation. With the departure, Zhang Xuan couldn't help but heave a long sigh of relief. Upon learning that he would have to obtain the supreme jurisdiction in order to access all of the books in the academy, he couldn't help but want to obtain it. After a long moment of contemplation, he had come to understand that it was impossible for him to win the support of over 80% of the preceding principals with just 3 sentences, especially given his disadvantages, such as his lacking cultivation and low master teacher rank. Unless he could find a compelling reason that would leave them with no choice but to recognize him. Such a reason would be nigh impossible for anyone to find, but it just so happened that he had one. Celestial Master Teacher. As a Master Teacher recognized by even the heavens, who would not recognize him? However, his capability was still currently too low in order to manipulate his power such that it was only visible to the preceding principals. Considering that they were in a public location, he could potentially be placed into danger in the future if his identity as a Celestial Master Teacher were to become known by others. Left with no choice, he could only come up with an alternative plan, feigning to battle with the master teachers to shroud his Zhenqi around them before releasing his pressure as a celestial master teacher. It was a little troublesome, but his heaven's path Zhenqi would be able to hinder anyone from